Just the mayor, right?
Sit down. Let everybody get seated here. We're going to go ahead and open our city council meeting for Tuesday, August 18th, 2026. We'd like to welcome everyone for here today. We're going to start off today. Well, first of all, I want to read this. The City of Ione welcomes, appreciates, and encourages participation in the city council meeting. The city council reserves the right to reasonably limit the total time for public comment on any particular noticed agenda item as it may deem necessary. Okay, now we're going to have roll call. Janice, will you please call roll?
Here.
Councilmember Mitchell,
Here.
Councilmember Smiley. Here. Vice Mayor Rhodes
Here.
and Mayor Maida.
Here. Okay, we're going to go into closed session shortly, but I'd like to open it up for public comment for items on closed session, items only. Okay, we'll go ahead and well, let me give you what the item is. We have one item tonight's conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to government code, 2 potential cases. So that was what you would have for public comment if you'd like to speak. Okay, we'll go ahead and close public comment and we'll go to closed session. Thank you.
Less government, it just has to be pushed to the next meeting.
We are on. Welcome, everybody. We just got out of closed session. So we're going to reconvene to open session. I'd like you to please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we move to reporting out of closed session, I'd like to announce that Linda Smiley is here today. She's been appointed to fill the term of former council member LaFane, so she'll be filling that term till the end of this year. So she's our 5th member now. Okay. So reporting out of closed session, direction was given to Josh. But we'll open it up again, once again, to if anybody wants to say something, public comment regarding closed session. I'd like to do it before closed session and after. So if anybody has something they want to state on the item. So we had 2 items to discuss, and I know you don't know what they are, but if you have anything you wanted to say on public comment. Okay, we'll close public comment. Thank you. Okay, we're looking to see if we can get approval of the agenda. The agenda has 6 items on it tonight, I believe.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. Second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Oppose? So moved. Okay, we're going to presentations and announcements. Does anybody have a presentation or an announcement they'd like to make tonight? No? Okay. Next, we're going to go to information items. We'll go to public comment. I'm sorry, public comment. This is the time for members of the public who wish to be heard on matters that do not appear on the agenda. Persons may address the city council at this time on any subject within the jurisdiction of the Ione City Council. Please be mindful of the 4-minute time limit per person pursuant to the Brown Act. The city council may not take action or engage in a detailed discussion on an item that does not appear on the agenda. However, matters that require council action will be referred to staff for a report and/or recommendation for possible action at a future council meeting. Now, is there anyone in the audience who would like to wish to address the council at this time?
Got good news here. Good evening, everyone. Dan Epperson, District 2 Supervisor. Couple things. Congratulations, Councilman Smiley. Enjoy your ride. May enjoy every moment of it and do well. Thank you. Also, there's a happy birthday that's in order tonight. I won't point anybody out, but she's over there looking away. So happy birthday. Also, too, if you hadn't seen, we get the Buena Vista Road paved from the far end of the county there, from the county line out. It's a lot, much better than it was. Some of you may have seen the stop sign spelling error was up for just a short bit. It was not our public works guys, and I will leave the contractor out of it, but they corrected it within hours, so that was good. Also, too, if you've been on the local Facebook pages, I posted a couple informational things about the biomass. They have a PR people now, and they have a page there you can ask questions and inquire about any questions you have there. I talked to our air district, Hermania Perry, today, and she says they've been very compliant. They've been actually very communicative. She's been out there, inspected the plant a number of times, and so things appear to be moving there a little bit. They initially were test firing a little bit, but I'll leave the details out for them. But they are working on actively test firing it right now. And the last thing is our budget. We have a very tight budget this year, but it's balanced as at this point right now. So that's my update. So thank you all.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, who would like to speak next?
Dave Johnson, Shakely. My topic tonight, I guess, is Howard Park. I think Andrew said at the last meeting that we're running about 360,000 negative at Howard Park. So one of the questions I have for you guys is the amphitheater. When you look at the pricing schedule you guys have, it's $2,150 to rent it and another $150 for the bathrooms. So I don't know if we're collecting any money for the events we've already had. So that's going to be one question I have for you is if somebody wanted to rent it, it would be like $2,300. We've had a bunch of events out there, and it seems like we've had more adult talent out there when we're saying it's a family thing. So what I'd like to suggest is maybe we look at something that's more related to families, like maybe something that's popular with kids, maybe Taylor Swift, Disney, something like that. We have the same person going out there all the time that's more, I've seen them at a bunch of bars and stuff. But if you're going to try to bring family out there, I think it would be cool to have like flyers in the elementary schools, junior high, maybe have something on a Saturday, whatever's popular. I'm saying Taylor Swift because I don't know what the kids like, but it's probably something since then because I'm older, obviously. But there's probably something more timeline there that we could use that venue for something other than, late night adult stuff with alcohol out there. It seemed like we could make better use of the facility. And if we're not paying for it, that would be nice to know. And then if we're paying for the talent that's out there, it'd be nice if we published whatever we pay, so we'd have an idea of what we could spend on somebody else coming in, since the city's paying for that. So that's a suggestion I have. And then I thought it was really good. Aubrey Gold was out there. I think there was a lot of people that got engaged when she came out there, but it'd be nice to just see more families out there. The other thing I looked at was I'd like to see where maybe you take the amphitheater and the arena separately, because I see things going to the arena, and it'd be nice if we separated it out on the ledger that here's what the park does, here's what the amphitheater does, here's the arena, because I'm seeing things at the arena now where we have people out there, we've got tractors. I guess we bought a golf cart that we put to Public Works, but the guy that's running the arena is driving around in it. So it seems like we're putting things in other categories that it'd be nice to say, this is the arena, this is this, so we could actually see, are we making money or are we negative on it? So I recommend that. Larry Enoch asked me to do something positive. So one of the things I brought up a few times is I have a parking pass that I think everybody that pays a sewer bill in this town gets a bill directly from the city. We could send these out. Everybody could use the parking facilities out there for free if they hung this on their mirror. You could get the local vendor or the businesses here to help sponsor that, maybe get discount coupons on the back. But I think Little League, soccer, that kind of stuff could sell these for like $100 a piece for parking for a year to people that are outside the area, and maybe we rev share with it. So if somebody comes in outside the area, maybe charge them $10 parking, but $5 goes to soccer, Little League, girls softball, and $5 goes to the city. So I think that might be a good first step in trying to get the park to sort of pay for itself, because the city seems to bear all the brunt of the money, but people are coming in from outside the area. Zach brought up that I went to that motorcycle thing. It was really good at the arena, but nobody was really from Ione. They were coming in from Rockland, Loomis, so they didn't really have to pay anything. The other thing I would take away from the event was it was a noon to 5 event, and the city is serving hard alcohol at something that's noon to 5. These kids were 8 to 12 years old. I don't think that's a good example of what you want to do at a kid-friendly event, be serving hard alcohol. I see Jody's watching the clock, so I will sit down now. Thank you, Jody.
Pleasure. Mr. Evans. Thank you, Mr. Evans.
Hello, Mike Evans. I live in the Castle Oaks development. Welcome to our new city council person. So I have a question. I'm assuming that the vote was taken to raise the CFD. Has that been taken?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what I like to say is I just kind of find it outrageous that you've reached back 4 years in time and you're going to collect money that that you didn't ask for then. And to me, it's like the county board, the county supervisors saying to everybody in this county, hey, we didn't charge you enough 4 years ago, so we're going to send you a new bill. So about the only thing I can do about it now is I'm going to start informing people who live in my CFD what happened, what you did vote for, the 3 councilmen there. And that's about all I can do at this time. And I'm hoping that people will be upset enough to contact you and ask you why you did that. So thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to say that the city wasn't serving the alcohol. It was the Public Works
Employee of-
Foundation. He's part of the foundation.
employee of the city too.
but he wasn't being paid.
It's
He
Isa.
wasn't on the,
Isa,
anything like that.
speak up, please. I want you to speak.
Speak in the microphone.
Oh,
There you go.
okay. I just want to say that it was a public works foundation that was serving the alcohol, not the city. He is a city employee, 100%, no problem with that. He is not on the clock. He was not getting paid to be out there. All that money raised by them goes back into the arena, goes back into Howard Park. So the city won't have to front the bill on a lot of the stuff. Thank you.
City is. It's a capital improvement. Anyway. I lost my first sheet, so I'm gonna wing it. I'm gonna talk about the eviction against the homeowner.
Speaking of the mic.
The eviction against the homeowner on Preston Avenue. The city approached the homeowner on Preston Avenue, the home nearest the creek, to buy a portion of her property, which she declined. Shortly thereafter, they started eviction notice, an abatement notice, using photos from the sidewalk. They never entered the residence, but they slapped eviction notices on her door. They got no reports to verify their allegations. They continued to do it. They gave her a lowball offer without an appraisal, and Josh, you know that an appraisal is required before the city can negotiate any acquisition. This continued into 2025 with threats that she would be responsible for the demolition of her home. This is an elderly woman, had lived there all her life, and she endured a year of threats by this city. Her family watched her despondent, wouldn't leave her house, depressed, and she gave up. They have videos of her on her 69th birthday, dancing and laughing. On her, shortly after her 70th birthday, she passed away from a bout with pneumonia. Her family says she was not the same woman as she was when the video occurred a year further. Did that stop the city? No. In April of this year, after she passed, they slapped another eviction notice on the front door, this time claiming lead, and everybody needed to vacate. In order to claim lead, you have to have reports. You cannot write lead on an eviction notice that nobody was signing. Nobody is signing these eviction notices, and I like how you're enjoying this, Mr. Rhodes. This is a woman, elderly, had no hope from anyone. Just because you say it does not turn it into a fact. The city has absolutely no reports to substantiate these eviction notices. An allegation is not a finding. A threat is not an inspection. You bullied her till she would not leave the inside of her house. I'm going to do a PRA request, and I'm going to cover every single one of your cell phones. I'm going to report this to every agency under the roof. Because what you did to this woman is despicable. And let's see how many of you council members have the authority to stop it. Because he brought this to you and us in August of 2025. Under the premise he had an opportunity to purchase this property. He didn't tell us about the prior 8 months. You can watch that on closed session. See if he tells you about what he did to her the prior 8 months. And just so you know, recall papers are starting this week.
Okay, on that note, let's, who else would like to speak tonight?
Good evening, everyone. Patricia Angijic, Castle Oaks Drive. To kind of, I have a curiosity that Mike Evans kind of brings to mind with this CFDs. So who's responsible for paying if the homeowner at the time of 4 years ago wasn't me? Do you track down that person and they have to pay it? Because they would have owned the property, so they should have been obligated to pay that tax, not me who bought it, this year or whatever. What happens if they passed away? Just a good question to ask.
Okay. Any more public comment? Okay, we'll go ahead and close public comment. Information items. Tonight we have one item. It's a fire department monthly report. Next city council meeting that we have, I'm going to put copies of this out. It's so everybody can see it. I don't want to take the time to read it and make you have to stay here longer than you have to, but it's really interesting. It's very detailed. Status report for the July of 2026. Okay, we're going to move down to the consent calendar. All matters listed under this category are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. Any item may be removed for discussion and possible action and made part of the regular agenda at the request of a council member. We have two items. One is the approval of warrants, August 18th, 2026 of today's date. And number two, adoption of a resolution number 2026-30 prohibiting parking on a portion of Main Street during the Harvest Fair.
I make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
We have a first and a second on approving the calendar. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose?
No on one, yes on two.
Okay, we have no public hearing tonight, so we're going to move right down to our regular agenda. We have, like I said, we have 6 items tonight. And the first one tonight will be the review and discussion of the 2023-2024 fiscal year audit by Mr. Larry Bain. Mr. Bain, thank you, sir, for coming tonight.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, glad to be here. Yeah, so what you have here is the draft of the financial statement for fiscal year end June 30, 2024. So a couple years behind, so the information here is obviously not current. So in the report, I'll just go over a few items and you can feel free to ask questions as I go along or wait until I'm through. Whatever you want to do is fine. So on page 1, this is the independent auditor's report where I'm giving you an opinion on the financial statements. And you'll see that there is a qualified opinion related to scope limitation with accounts payable for the beginning of the fiscal year. So the end of June 30, 2023, we didn't have sufficient evidence of the accounts payable balance at that time and what needed to be reversed in 23-24 to give an opinion on that beginning balance. And then the second item is on an advance from the sewer tertiary fund to the general fund that was put back on the books in 21-22 fiscal year. And there was no evidence that should have been put back on the books. It was a resolution passed in 2000. And it came back up and was put back on the books in 21-22, again, without any real supporting documentation that's a supported interfund loan. Okay, so those two matters did trigger the qualified opinion. The remainder of the report is considered unqualified. Okay. On pages 4 and 5 of the audit report, this is the government-wide financial statement. And the basis of accounting here is a full accrual basis like you would see in a business. Really, it's pretty much what you are used to seeing, with the exception of
we did add the lease receivables up in the asset and non-current asset section. And this is a new standard for June 30, 2024, Governmental Accounting Standard Board Statement number 87 requires us to put in any long-term operating leases on the books. And so really the only one associated with, for the city here would be for Portlock. And so the city was receiving 40,000 a year lease up through the year 2059. And so we put together an amortization schedule, and that's what we are required to put on the books. Now, I believe starting in 25-26 fiscal year, that lease is now with, I believe, SGM. And so we will, when that lease started with SGM, we'll remove the Portlock lease and replace it with the SGM lease. Okay. So really that's the only new unusual item for the full accrual basis of accounting there. The next section of financials starts on page 6, and this is the fund financial statements. And it gives more of a current snapshot, well, June 30, 2024, of your assets, liabilities, revenues, and expenditures. And so on the asset side, the general fund had 2.8 million in assets, and that's in comparison to expenditures of 3.4 million. So not quite 1 year carryover of cash to cover the expenditures, but a reasonably strong carryover cash position. Okay. And in the general fund on page 9, you'll see the bottom line was the general fund had a positive increase in fund balance of 425,000. So net income. So really no red flag there as far as the operating results and the carryover cash and fund balance. Okay. The other items that I was going to point out were on the long-term liabilities, starting on page 26 on the notes to the financial statements. And the largest liabilities for the city are the net pension liability, which in the general fund is a little bit over 3 million, and in the enterprise fund about 390,000. And then the net OPEB liability, which is the post-retirement health care, which had in the general fund or the government-wide was 1.8 million, and in the enterprise fund about 300,000. So about 3.4 million net pension liability and 2.2 million in the OPEB liability. And the notes to the financial statements gives you more detail about what's going into those numbers. I'm not going to go into that much detail. So on the financials, that's really all that I was going to cover. And then you have the management report, which has the findings. And they're pretty self-explanatory, but I'm sure council may have questions, maybe the public has questions. So why don't we go ahead and open it up to questions, and then I'll see what I can do to clarify any of the information in here.
I don't have any questions, and thank you. This is wonderful. It's been a long time coming. And I know you've been working your fingers to the bone to do this.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah.
I'm looking a little bit, Larry.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here we go. Findings. Any questions, Councilman Allen?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it super short. my notes. There was one on the OPEB, in 2019, I think we, and I don't have a reference here on the page. Here we go. Page 49.
Mhm.
So if we go to page 49. So what you just told us is we have about 5.5 million in unfunded liability.
Roughly,
Right.
correct.
Everybody needs to listen to that number. We
Mhm.
got 3 million in interfund borrowing. So that's 8.5. We got about 2 in a sewer plant, a few hundred in a fire station, another 1 million in a police station. Like, we just need to watch those numbers. So if you look at page 49, and somebody put dollars instead of years at the top, so that's why it looks the way it does across the top. But if you look at the 2019, which is over second from the right on the OPEB liability. So OPEB is if someone retires, they get their medical paid for until I guess they hit, I don't know if it's until you hit Medicare, but it was, you get it paid for, then your spouse gets it paid for if you die. So 5 years of service. In 2019, the council, hopefully this won't get rolled back, but we decided to cut that off for new hires. Everybody that got hired still gets that deal. Everybody that was hired prior to 2019 gets that deal. Everybody else doesn't.
And that is explained on page 32 in the notes. Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks, Larry. So anyway, if you look at 2019, the OPEB liability was 2.3 million. And then right after because the way OPEB works is they expect you to replace your staff. So someone leaves, they expect you to replace a person. That's why it never really goes down when people retire or leave, because they're expecting you to keep those positions open. But if you look at 2019 to 2020, so when we implemented that measure, it went down $1 million, which was why we implemented the measure. So we got our liability down $1 million. But then I see it creeping back up. And so my question to you, Larry, is new hires don't get the benefit. So why is it creeping back up? It should have stabilized. Other than the discount rate, it should have stabilized, because you look, it was 1.3, then it went to 1.7, and then it jumped up in 2022 to 2.5, and then now it's currently, about 2.2. So
Right.
with us doing that, why did it jump up? It should have stabilized and stayed down.
Right, right. Yeah, well, since there is no funding mechanism right now, this is completely unfunded.
Right.
The actuary will calculate what the interest would be for that liability. So it's all based on actuarial data. I don't calculate this information. The city hires an actuarial firm, but you can see what goes into the numbers. Like for instance, in 2022, the service cost was 212,000. So that increased the liability by 212,000. The difference between expected and actual experience came in at 217,000. So that would be what the actuary would have expected the number of people to come into the plan to be versus what actually happened, or the life expectancy, things of that nature. So this is all based on the actuarial data that they're given.
Right, but it's hugely different.
It will fluctuate.
And it looks kind of strange.
An estimate.
Okay.
Yeah, the actual amount of payment for the OPEB liability will be very different than the numbers you see here. This
Okay.
is all based on actuarial estimates.
So okay. All right, great. So next one, page 50, budgetary, why did I have a question on that? Never mind. Page 54,
Mhm.
So, okay, there's the affordable housing developer fee, and it's got $54,000 in it. And it should have, again, I don't expect the answers tonight, but this is just for when you're working on the next one,
Sure.
you know, to incorporate it. It should have about $200,000 in there, and it's only got 54.
186, I
Yeah.
think we discussed.
So
right.
I'd like to know where the rest of that is, because it was specifically spelled out that it's to build affordable housing.
Right.
It wasn't to research affordable housing or look into affordable housing or talk about affordable housing. It was build affordable housing. And
I'm not sure that the developer agreement actually specified that it was to be brick and mortar. This is what is, I'm not sure. It may be interpreted that way, but my assumption, like we discussed, I mean, this would go back to 2006. And from that point forward, I believe in 2009, when the general plan was developed, there was a low affordable housing component of the general plan, and a certain amount of this money was budgeted for but again, that's something that would need to be researched.
right, it said for the construction of affordable housing. So I took that as
Sure.
meaning building affordable housing, but
Understood.
not here to argue with it.
Understood.
But, thank you. And then there's a bunch of things in the findings that I don't want to go over, but there was one in particular about so the overpayment, because there's a bunch of CFD people here today.
Mhm.
There was an overpayment in 2019 to the CFDs.
Right.
And that happens because there is a little bit of a cushion, because if somebody defaults on their payments, then the city has to have enough money to cover that bond payment.
Yes.
So I get why there is a little bit of a cushion there.
Mhm.
But it turns out that there was $107,000 of a cushion, and then you discovered that the city just, and again, not this city, not this administration, 2019, not getting on anybody here. So what they did back then in 2019 was they put the money in a general fund where, as you know, that's where everything goes to disappear.
Mm.
And I like your suggestion that we look at that and we either, refund the taxpayers or I have a use for it, which we could just talk about later, but that was a good catch. Now, but Mr. Richardson, one of your rivals, did the 2019 audit and he never caught that. So
Yeah.
we want, I'm just saying, that's a shock, right? That someone else did it and didn't catch it, you caught it. So thanks for catching that.
Yeah,
Um,
and again, on that, it's possible and probable that the city can substantiate that money can be applied to expenditures that were incurred, that it could be applied to. But I just didn't see any support for that.
Right.
So, yeah.
And then there was another one, overpayment or I don't want to mention the person's name, but there was a staff person that was overpaid.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you recommend that person, the city deals with, what we're going to do with that, get the money back.
Yeah.
But because you just did 2024 and we did not a real audit for 23 and 22, so it could have happened in 22 and it could have happened in 23 and it could have happened in 25 and it could have happened in 26. So we just need to keep an eye on that to make sure that that's resolved. That's all.
For that particular one that you're discussing, I did go back to the change of position
Right.
forward.
Oh, you went back to
Which did
22.
Go back into the 22, 23 fiscal year.
So that's current to 24.
It correct, yeah, yeah.
And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Councilman Mitchell?
No, I don't have, I just want to thank you very much for this. This is very impressive.
Okay, sure.
So Is this public comment?
Hmm?
Oh, is it opening public comment?
Oh, like, let's wait until we go to public comment.
just like to
Sue,
say that
Sue,
Andrea,
Sue, let us finish real quick here and then we'll open public comment. We need to
okay,
do that, okay?
Susan Priest, Castle Oaks.
Okay, with Councilmember Smiley, do you have anything to say on this?
No.
No, I don't either. Larry, you did a great job again, as usual. Saw you working your heart here a lot. So go ahead and open up public comment now. Go ahead, Sue. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to say that Andrea and Jane, I think, did a great job because this was a huge effort on their part, and there were some very significant accounting issues that they had to deal with that they had absolutely no involvement in. So anything I'm going to say are just questions that I have for the auditor. Okay, so in your findings 2401, you said the city relied on an external auditor to ensure the financial statements were in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles and all the required disclosures were made. What I'd like to know is, does this mean city staff should have actually prepared the financial statements and the accompanying footnotes? And your job was just to express an opinion on them?
Yeah, that's a good question. And that has come up with the Board of Accountancy where the auditor would not be able to prepare financial statements.
Yes.
But to date, that has not happened. So if we do prepare the financial statements, then we're required to put
Qualified.
well, it's not a qualified opinion, but it's a finding.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a deficiency. So that's what that
So do
is.
you think that's significant?
It's considered a significant deficiency.
Answer my question.
Mhm.
You also indicated that the city should add staff or hire someone to assist in the preparation of the financial statements. If the city fails to follow this recommendation, do you think the current staffing levels will allow staff to do what is needed to eliminate a qualified opinion in a future audit?
And now the qualified opinion you're referring to as far as on accounts payable.
Any reason? for
Yeah, so the
qualification?
accounts payable, the qualified opinion for accounts payable should go away for the June 30, 25 audit. I wouldn't expect that to be recurring. The $250,000 interfund loan between tertiary and general fund, I couldn't tell you that. The city will need to research that and determine if that should have been put back on the books. And if they can provide me support that it should be on the books, then that qualified opinion will go away. I would expect that if it shouldn't be on the books, they'll do a journal entry to remove it, which would also take away the qualified opinion.
Okay, great. The fact that you participated in determining the ending account balance doesn't necessarily mean you'll have to issue a qualified opinion next year.
Not determined what?
Your ending account balances, your end account balances,
So ending account balance for,
the last audit. this
for the
audit,
accounts payable or for?
For anything. I mean, some of. them-
Yeah, since these audit entry or audit numbers are supported for the most part, other than beginning accounts payable. Yeah, I wouldn't expect, I've got support
because
for
of
the
that.
ending balances at
Okay.
June 30, 24 that'll roll over to 25,
Okay.
correct?
And then my last question is, what education and experience would an individual need to prepare the city's financial statements and accompanying notes? And do you think that the current city staff has enough staffing to be able to do this without additional accounting staff?
Yeah, I don't think the city currently has the staffing. Now, Jane, to my knowledge, does have skill, knowledge, experience. They call it SKE.
Right.
She prepared financial statements for the county. But as far as her current knowledge, I'm not sure that it's up to date for the new standards, et cetera. So I would say that it's possible that Jane could gain that experience and be able to prepare the financials.
But you would need continuing professional education.
I would say, yeah.
And so that would be something that the city probably should be willing to pay for to get that kind of experience, because really there's no staff right now that, I mean,
Yeah.
what you people have to understand is this is very complicated, requires an extreme amount of education and continuing education because they're always changing everything.
Yeah. Again, it is very common for the auditor to prepare the financial statements. I mean,
Yeah.
I would say the majority of small cities would have the auditor prepare the financial statements. So.
Okay.
But your expectation would be that everything would be balanced already. that you were looking at. They'd have support for everything. And
That's the way that would be the goal.
right. So back to my
Mhm.
question, do you think there's significant?
So we're gonna have to
current
move on.
staffing? Okay,
Mhm.
current staffing to do that?
Well, again, I would say that Jane would be in position to possibly take that on.
Okay, that was my questions. What I'm really advocating for is I think you're short on staff, accounting staff.
Yeah, yeah. And the city in the past, they did hire another company, Collins Accountancy. And Craig Collins definitely is qualified to do those things, but problem is that, you know, a lot of people that are qualified just don't have the time.
Yes, okay.
So,
Well, that was my questions. Thank you.
okay, you're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Sue. Any more questions? Now that we're open for public comment for Mr. Bain? Or for us? Okay, we'll go ahead and close public comment. Mr. Bain, thank you very
Okay,
much.
you're welcome.
Appreciate it
Thank
very
you.
much.
Okay.
You have a safe trip home.
So now that you guys have received the draft, I plan on bringing it to the next meeting for approval. Since he's answered your questions, unless there's any other direction that you're not ready for that.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. Okay, item number 2. I think a lot of people are here for this tonight. Discussion approval of proposal by Amarillo West Little League for construction of girls softball fields at Howard Park. Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council recently directed the Parks and Recreation Commission to coordinate the solicitation of proposals to build softball fields at Howard Park. A special Parks and Recreation meeting was planned for August 12th, 2026, but because it was not properly noticed, the meeting was canceled. Therefore, a special Parks and Recreation Committee meeting was scheduled for last night, August 17th, to review the proposal that was received. There was only one proposal that was received, and the Parks Commission approved that proposal unanimously. And so we recommend that you give direction to staff to negotiate a final agreement and to execute that agreement with softball.
Okay, let's go to council comments. Councilman Atlan, would you have any comments tonight?
I do. First of all, this doesn't have any maps, doesn't have any engineer drawings, and that was a requirement put on the last group. So how did that come about? Or would we just starting from scratch and it was whoever submits it? So that was one question. Okay. The other one was, let's have a look here. I got no maps, no engineer drawings, no term, but you just said that you're looking for direction to start negotiations, so that'll be covered in that. So, but these were notes that I made before you just said that. There's no parking plan. But my biggest concern with this is there's no estimate for city costs. There's no parts, labor, utilities, maintenance of grounds, maintenance of equipment, how many employees it's going to need. All that's in here is that they're going to pay $3,500 and then the city of Ione is going to do everything else. So that's a concern of mine. I would like to see a contract where maybe they pay 80% of, I just wrote these numbers down, it could be, it's a negotiation, but 80% of the utilities they could pay. They don't need to pay the $3,500 a year. Because I'm just trying to not burden the city with how it is right now, whereby we pay the utilities, we pay for the irrigation and all the labor, all the equipment, everything else. And the next thing you know, we're 100,000 in the hole. So I would like to see any negotiation you do, be sensitive to that. I would like to see most of the utilities paid for, perhaps 20% of labor and operating costs. Same thing with new equipment. Any new equipment, there's got to be a cost sharing. And if Little League can get the utilities for free, then they don't have to pay anything. If they can get water agency to lower their rates, which we couldn't, then they wouldn't have to pay anything for that. So, I just like to see the, expenses part of this contract, not just that we're going to get 3,500, but we have no idea what that 3,500 is going to cost us. And that's what I see in what we have so far. And those are my questions. Thank you.
Councilman Mitchell.
I like their proposal, and I'm ready to have softball fields for the youth in the city of Ione. It's about time we get some girls on the field.
Councilperson Smiley.
I think the proposal is awesome. We're gonna get some girls playing softball. The paperwork here does say the agreement matters to be finalized would include things that you brought up, Dominic, such as utilities, storage, insurance limits and that sort of thing. So I really like it. I think it's wonderful. I think it's better than a 5-year contract without any kind of earmarks. And how are we doing this? Are we going forward? We have targets here.
The contracts would be similar to what exists now with Little League and with soccer. So I'm going to use that as a template because in those agreements, Little League and softball does share at times with the maintenance and so forth. So
But you're gonna do an agreement. You want us to authorize you to do an agreement and you're gonna come back and tell us what's in that agreement.
either that or you can ask me to execute it.
The agreement would come back to you for formal approval.
Yes.
Formal approval.
Vice Mayor Rhodes?
Yeah, I like it. My question is, how long is the agreement? How long is this contract?
It's going to be 5 + 5.
Can you explain that to the audience? That's the same thing as,
That's what exists. Well, the Little League and soccer was a 20-year agreement, 10 + 10. So this agreement will be 5 + 5.
which means we go 5 years, then
And
if
then the
everything's
option
working out good or whatever, renegotiate again.
Correct.
Okay. I'm good with what it is, and what you're going for. The one thing I would like to do is I would like to forgive the $3,500 for the first year or two until it's built. It's better for them to take the $3,500 and do something with it, because if we took the $3,500, they can probably do $10,000 worth of work with it, and we'd probably do $1,000 worth of work with it, because we're government, so. I like it the way it is. I just forgive the first year at least of the payment. Get them going. And I would like to break ground on this thing a week ago.
Yes, Councilmember Smiley would like to say something, of course.
Forgot what I was gonna say. Because I was talking to you.
We're gonna have
Definitely.
we're gonna have an opportunity again. I like it. I really like it. And the target periods, the milestones and the primary participants pretty much spells it all out. And I'll just wait now to hear from public comment. Thank you so we can go ahead and start with that, please.
Remember, we're gonna have a softball field this year. One. And
Next second
possibly
church.
2 next year.
Correct.
Okay, public comment, Patricia.
Good evening, everyone. Patricia Angeja, Castle Oaks Drive. I was at the Parks and Rec meeting last night, and I do remember them asking if that the contract could be reviewed after 6 months, just for the first 6 months, and then yearly for potential, inflation costs and things of that matter. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention since I was there last night. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak? Okay, I guess we'll close public comment. I thought we'd have more speakers. Any more council comments? Councilman Atlan, any more? Council Member Smiley? Council Member Mitchell?
Nope.
Vice Mayor Rhodes?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the agreement, and I would like to forgive the first year of the $3,500.
We have a motion on the floor.
Direction to staff to negotiate an agreement.
Yes.
Second? Second.
We have first and second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? So moved. Congratulations and thank you. Looking forward to a long, long partnership with Little League. Okay, next item on the agenda, I believe is landscape. Castle Oaks.
Lighting and landscaping.
Okay, next, number 3, discussion approval of landscaping contract at Castle Oaks entrance. Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The staff has been in the process of obtaining bids to repair and renovate the landscaping at the entrance of the Castle Oaks subdivision. That's taken up quite a bit of time because we've had to have solicit bids. To date, we have received bids ranging anywhere from $33,000 to $73,500 to replace the sod and irrigation piping at the entrance. Staff recommends selecting the bid for $33,000 for the renovation work at the Castle Oaks entrance so we can finally get that done. And as of today, there is approximately $37,000 available in the CFD landscaping and lighting district to complete this work.
Okay, any council comments? Go, just to go to
Get it
Mr. Allen
done.
again. No comments? Councilmember Smiley?
No, I'll make a motion.
We have to go to public comment first.
I have nothing.
Get it done.
Okay, public comment, please.
I think Andrea said when they first started that, we spent about $170,000 for our money to keep the entrance going. I was just wondering, how come Castle Oaks never had a bunch of volunteers to take care of that? I just don't understand. They were so worried about it. How come they didn't get a group together and take care of it? I mean, that's what the city's been built on, and they seem to think they pay and just do it. Why can't they maintain it themselves? Thank you.
Okay, more public comment, please.
Well, I'm glad to see after 3 years of work and how many mayors and how many city managers that finally something's going to get done. It was my understanding that I was told at the town hall that there wasn't any money. Now there's money, which I'm glad to see. I would like to see us spend every single bit of that $37,000 because the front is a mess. And I know Chad Simmons had given a bid that was pretty high, and I don't know what it entailed because I never saw it. And I was on the landscape committee, but I never saw it. So I'm glad we're going to do something. And as far as volunteerism, I used to volunteer at the school in El Dorado Hills and taking care of their garden, and their union stopped us from doing it, so there couldn't be any volunteers. And you need to realize that we're paying lighting and landscape taxes and CFDs that you are not paying. So I think we deserve to have it taken care of. It looked good before, and over the last few years, it's gone to hell in a handbasket. So I'm glad to see we've finally made some kind of progress. And I'd like to, can anybody tell me who is the $33,000 bid, or you're not being able to do that?
It's in the package.
Oh, I don't have a package.
It's
Rocky's Landscape.
Rocky's
okay.
Landscaping, yeah.
Okay, and Jody, hopefully you can,
I'm quite confident on this, but I want to reiterate though that I'm a landscape contractor. Your landscaping is only as good as it's maintained, so we have to make sure that we have a landscape maintenance company that does the job the way we need. I went over there and I found things that could have been fixed so easily and so cheaply. It was ridiculous, and so that's part and parcel to this whole process.
yeah,
But
and there was no water out there,
if you
so,
guys are paying the CFD money for this, goes to this, we want to use it.
yeah. Yeah, and there was no water, so I saw the Simmons guys were out there having to rip out plants that were in the median and that kind of thing, because there was no water. So the things that we planted just a couple of years ago are getting ripped out because, as Jody said, wasn't being maintained.
You didn't give your name, and I don't know
Oh,
you.
Patrice Press.
You were. I'm glad this is on the agenda for you.
I'm going to give you 4 minutes.
I just wanted to add a point of clarification. The account still is in a negative.
Yeah.
What they're doing is that 37,500 is what is received in District 1 and the CFDs for this year. And council gave direction to spend that money as opposed to trying to take care of the deficit to spend that money on the front maintenance. So it's still in the negative, but the money that's coming in this year, they want to spend directly to fix the entrance.
You had told me that, but I didn't want to address that because I thought that was your.
Okay, more public comment? Oh, Jesse, anybody on Zoom? I'm sorry, I need to ask you that more often. Okay, just yell loud at me, please.
Good evening, Patricia
Good.
and Gija, Castle Oaks. So it's interesting because I know that we're talking about, wanting to create revenue for the city and bring things here. And I think that I don't like the whole like Castle Oaks versus the rest of the city because I like you all, for different reasons, no matter what our address is. And so I think acknowledging that the golf course does bring in quite a lot of revenue for the city, they spend their money here while they're in town. They're gonna want to come somewhere that, looks nice right when they drive it. And so, and if we're paying the additional fees, then yes, it should be taken care of because we're paying for it. If we weren't, then of course, volunteerism, but I think volunteering would also be good as well. Thank you.
Okay, any more public comment? Okay, we'll go ahead and close public comment. So, who wants to start this one here?
You might hear this from me a few times tonight if your motion could include authorized execution of a contract
Okay,
for the work.
okay.
I'd make a motion for authorization and execution of the contract
I'll
with
second.
Rocky's Landscaping.
I'll second.
We have a first and second, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Okay. Moving right along here. Discussion, number 5, discussion approval of city engineering contract with Weber Geo and Associates Incorporated.
You skipped the train depot.
Skipped. I did?
Train depot.
Oh, man, I'm sorry. Number 4, that's a biggie. This is a biggie. Okay, number 4, discussion approval of landscaping project contract at Train Depot Park. Mr. Lee.
Yes, on this matter, I will refer to Miss Jessie because she is very familiar with the Cup Cut program.
Okay.
Gonna give it to you later.
Oh, Lord. So Train Depot Park, who wants that finished? Like, I think it's been way too long. We've gone through many years of not having that park finished. I get phone calls constantly on when is it going to be ready? I want a birthday party. Like, it's an asset that our city ultimately needs to complete and get ready and have available to the public. At this time, in order to pretty much finish out the park, we've summoned for some different bids and everything. We were able to obtain one of them, which came in around $75,000. I don't know if you guys remember or not, but when we did the budget and everything, it was about 200,000 in that account to cover those expenses. So we're way under that number. And I think it's time for the city to finish it. So we are bringing to you guys today this bid for 75,000 from, I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me.
Green Hills.
From Green Hills, to pretty much come in, finish that park and get it to where we would be able to open it.
But you might want to explain that program that we're doing it under.
Yeah, so we utilize the same thing. It's a public works project. So anything under $75,000 allows us to obtain, not having to go through RFPs and all of that. It allows us to do our force account. We can use a negotiated contract, all of that, which is ultimately what we're trying to do here to speed that process.
I mean, I could read that if you want me to. You want me to read that? Necessary?
It's your pleasure.
It's this was voted on in 2009, 5-0 to accept Resolution 1703, adopting the Uniform Public Construction Cost Accounting Procedure, which basically allows a project for $75,000 or less to be performed by a public agency's force account using the public agency's own resources or negotiated by contract or by purchase order. So, any comments by council?
Go ahead.
I do. So this is being funded by the Parks and Recreation Fund, right?
Yeah.
The Capital Improvement Fund,
Yes.
the Impact Fund.
Yes.
Where does that fund come from?
That comes from development when they pay their Parks and Rec.
New development, right?
Yes.
Listen to that, Larry. So this park is being funded by Wildflower, Castle Oaks, blah, blah, blah. And are we crying about it? Castle Oaks and Wildflower people? No, we're not. So, that's great. So would you no longer need the 200? Because that's coming up later on.
Yes. So potentially
But
if we finish this, we
This would finish it out. Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Smiley.
I'm glad to see it finished. A lot of volunteer effort has built that park.
very much so.
And I have kind of a sad attachment to it because when the guys were first working on it, my husband was part of that. He wanted it to be kind of a legacy for my grandchildren. And then it stopped. And he has since passed away. So I want to see it done.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Councilman Mitchell,
Let's get it across the finish line.
Vice Mayor Rhodes.
Yeah, I went and met with Jake Herfel today for about an hour and went over everything to make sure that everything is going to be done. There is some rough grading that needs to be done prior to this, and I talked to George about it. That will be taken care of. Some soil needs to be moved around inside, some trenching dug, but some other things are going to happen, but that will be taken care of. So I just wanted to make sure, because I was looking at this thing, okay, we're going to put grass and sod on this thing and it ain't even a grade yet. So the grading is going to be corrected and all that stuff before landscaping comes in. So.
Okay, I also agree. I say let's let her buck. Let's get it done. So public comment, please.
I'd just like to comment, there's Spring Creek and Dove Lane paid for that too, and also the Castle, the trailer park, they helped pay for that too. So it just wasn't done the other ones. And they spent $6,000 and they fought this anytime they could. Thank you.
Okay, continue public comment. Okay, we'll go ahead and close public comment.
The only comment I would have, Mr. Mayor, is that this park is a long time coming. It has been in progress for a long, long time, and I think it will make a wonderful and fantastic contribution to that area for all of the residents to enjoy.
Yeah, I know, I'm very stoked about it, and this is not something this is gonna happen soon. We've got a commitment to start this and get this done soon, so we can possibly be able to enjoy it for part of the summer yet. Okay, so we have,
Mayor, if I can add something. About this CUPCA program that we talk about. This is a state legal framework and program that we're a part of. What we have is a conflict between that and our local ordinance and our purchasing and bidding policy. So I'll talk about it with the city manager as well, but I've mentioned it before that at some time we're going to have to go back into that purchasing and bidding ordinance that we have to update it and make it consistent with the state program that we're a part of. I think it's nearing time to do that to make sure we don't have any conflict with our local bidding ordinance and the state program that we're a part of. It'll be a little work with staff and preparation of an ordinance, but it was something mentioned in the grand jury report, and we're part of the state program. And so that's how projects should be bid. But we also need to clarify that conflict so we don't have any confusion between.
yes, I agree. I saw the 2009 date and I was surprised by that. So that's quite a while back.
So just another item that we have to catch up on and clean up the books. So
Just getting up to date. Yep.
yeah.
Okay, anybody like to get a motion here?
I'd make a motion that we complete the landscaping project for Train Depot Park using
First.
Green Hills Landscaping.
Okay, we got a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? So moved. Now we can go on to Weber Geo.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. The former city engineer or the present city engineer, they're still doing some work. Their contract has expired on June 30th, 2026. A request for proposal was advertised with the closing date of August 12th, 2026. The city received one response from Weber Geo and Associates, which is attached. So it is our staff's recommendation that we approve city engineer Weber Geo for contract moving forward.
Okay, councilman comments, people's comments. Mr. Allen?
I have none.
Councilmember Smiley?
I'm really excited and happy to know that Rourke Weber will be part of this city again. He knows this county, this town better than anybody. He's just wonderful. So I'm looking forward to it.
Councilman Mitchell?
I too am looking forward to.
Vice Mayor Rhodes?
Yeah, me too. This is actually a wonderful company. Matt Hospital's taken it over. I've worked with him on a number of projects, great people to work with. They know the history of Ione. They work with the entire county, great group of people. It's an honor to work with them actually. And even with not, no one else wants to take the job anyhow, so.
I'm quite happy about it also, and one of the reasons why is I'm glad that we will no longer have Wildan because I think they overcharged and underperformed. That's my personal opinion. So we'll open up for public comment. Okay, close public comment. We'll go ahead and entertain a motion or any more comments. I think we're ready for a motion here. Who wants to make a motion?
Make a motion.
There we go. Putting too much pressure on Jack down there. Okay, Linda, go ahead.
I would like to make the motion to approve the city engineer contract for Weber Geo and Associates Incorporated.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? So moved. I think you're up, Andrea. Aren't you next? You are. Do I go first? Go first, right? Oh, that's right. Mr. Lee, City Manager Lee would like to speak.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, and members of the council. As your city manager, I am pleased to present the City of Ione's proposed annual budget for fiscal year 2026 to 2027. This budget represents the culmination of hard work across all city departments to represent and establish a responsible, transparent, and strategic roadmap balancing the goal of fiscal stability while meeting the important needs of our growing community. This document represents our shared vision for the future of Ione and our commitment to fiscal stewardship, strategic investment, and community progress. Our core objectives this fiscal year continue to be similar to last year, focus on three key objectives. One, restoring and maintaining our fiscal integrity, solidifying our internal auditing controls, closely monitoring our municipal accounts, and establishing uncompromised protocols to ensure maximum transparency. Number two, improving our infrastructure, continue to improve our aging road network and long-deferred wastewater system. And three, continue work on developing additional sources of revenue. During this past year, we have continued to iterate that the City of Ione does not have an expense problem. We have a revenue problem in that we lack meaningful sources of revenue other than property tax. Besides property tax, additional sales tax would be the most impactful to our community. As we all know, every time a resident visits or buys a meal, shops at a local restaurant, or purchases goods within our city limits, they are investing directly in our neighborhoods. Unlike property tax that places a significant burden on local homeowners, sales tax captures dynamic regional wealth. Visitors use our roads, parks, and emergency services. A healthy sales tax ensures they help pay for them. It creates a fair and shared responsibility. As I have said in the past, Ione is now the largest city in Amador County. Conversely, we generate the lowest amount of sales tax revenue with the exception of Amador City. Without this critical revenue, at some point, we will face an unsustainable choice. Look for avenues to increase tax revenue or accept cuts in our parks, infrastructure, and more importantly, public safety. Sales tax is what would allow us to sustain, innovate, and maintain the high quality of life our community deserves without overburdening our residents. Increasing sales tax revenues. Sales tax remains the city's most significant and most important funding opportunity, directly supporting core services such as public safety, community programs, and general government operations. In the past year, the city has accomplished the following towards this goal. Developed a master plan for Howard Park, currently in the process of developing a clear plan for improvements and construction cost estimates for different segments of the park. This will present the city opportunities and methods to monetize Howard Park. Presently working with developers who are working to submit plans for Ringer Ranch and the Waterman development projects that everybody knows about. We have a signed letter of intent with a hotel operator to build and operate a hotel on the Castle Oaks commercial property, predicated on the city being able to consummate our letter of intent to purchase a portion of the property from the commercial property owners. This property, for who didn't know, was approved for commercial development and a hotel over 20 years ago as part of the general plan. Capital infrastructure. Another important component of this budget is continued investment in capital infrastructure, maintaining and improving our core assets, sidewalks, water, and especially our wastewater systems, storm drains, parks, and municipal facilities is vital to both our safety and quality of life for our residents. These projects are not simply expenditures, they are long-term investments that will increase the efficiency and preserve the integrity of our city. We are currently in the process of executing the following. Developing a long-term master plan for wastewater treatment plant improvements to accommodate anticipated new housing and the significant expansion of CAL FIRE, including exploring and applying for all applicable grants to assist the city in improving our infrastructure. Operating under strict budget guidelines, we successfully prioritize the development of our new police headquarters. We are projecting a completed building transition within the next month, funded sustainably through strategic capital allocations and police impact fees and their foundation. Developing near-term plans to improve long-standing improvements on West Marlette. Fiscal responsibility. One of the key components of this budget was to provide a balance of necessary and proper spending, coupled with proactive measures to stimulate growth. As stated, our revenue growth for the past 10 to 15 years have been extremely limited and remains one of, if not the top, priorities of this administration. The city of Ione administration has transformed itself from a once chaotic and unstable environment to one of solid stability, consistency, and focus. With a solid foundational staff in place, this plan continues to support the services that residents rely on every day: police, fire, parks, and community programs, while ensuring the city remains responsive, resilient, and accountable. While the budget addresses infrastructure and revenue growth, it also tries to reflect and preserve the city's ongoing commitment to sound fiscal management. As everyone knows, the city has been severely behind in its audits. One of the key reasons has been the constant high turnover of associates for the past 10 to 15 years, which has not provided an atmosphere of stability and or consistency. At present, our city possesses a solid staff with institutional knowledge that will bring needed stability and consistency for years to come. Several key principles have been incorporated into the budget developing process and monitoring. Closely aligned budget with the strategic priorities of the City Council. Discussion and feedback from the City Council and stakeholders have been integrated into the budget. Ensure that the budget documents and data are open, transparent, and accessible. Actively plan, manage, and monitor budget execution with regular updates to the City Council. Promote the integrity and quality of budget forecasts, fiscal plans, and implementation through rigorous quality assurance, including independent audits. The 2021 single audits is complete. limited procedures for 2021, 2022, and 2022 to 2023 have been completed. The 23-24 audit has been completed and it is anticipated to start and complete the 24-25 audits in the very near future. In conclusion, the fiscal year 2026 budget is a product of careful planning, collaboration, and shared vision. It reflects our dedication to fiscal responsibility while addressing the infrastructure and economic development needs that will shape Ione's future. These initiatives represent more than just routine maintenance. They are part of a bold, forward-looking approach, one that requires leadership conviction. For too long, critical infrastructure needs were deferred, creating compounding costs and risk. Today, this council has demonstrated the courage and will to do what has not been done for the past decade, to address challenges directly, to fund projects responsibly, and to invest in Ione's future with determination and vision. In the past year, some of the highlights the city council has accomplished. Number one, through a generous grant from the Department of Water Resources, facilitated through the Amador Water Agency, completed the construction of the amphitheater at Picnic Hill and new irrigation for our soccer fields. This project was an enormous undertaking as we had a short window to build and what was achieved with the help of and assistance of key community partners and all of the department heads and their staff and our building department contributed, and there was a true effort of collaboration and cooperation. Number two, improve the Ed Hughes Horse Arena with additional panels and new bleachers. This was made possible by a generous grant from ACRA and the Board of Supervisors. Through a partnership with Little League Baseball and Amador Soccer, new equipment was purchased for field improvements. Again, the partnership with Little League Baseball, we will have lights on field number one, which will provide new opportunities for late afternoon and early evenings. We negotiated an updated fee agreement with CDCR, which has increased their payment from $27,500 per quarter to $174,000, which contributed an additional $668,500 towards the operation of the tertiary plant. Bringing the train depot to near completion, supported much needed repairs and improvements at the wastewater treatment plant, facilitated the purchase of a permanent police headquarters buildings, which will be paid off in less than 15 years. This was accomplished through an initial payment plan from the Police Impact Fee Fund and the assumption of long-term debt at an interest rate of 2%. The new police headquarters is scheduled to be completed shortly at the beginning of September 2026. And finally, the city generated $409,430 this past fiscal year in interest alone. The city of Ione is off to a great start during this period of transition and revitalization. If one takes note, many of these accomplishments are because of the cooperation of many groups, individuals, and public agencies. It is these types of relationships and spirit of cooperation that have been lacking, but that this council and staff have embraced. I would like to thank and recognize all of our department heads and their staff who do a remarkable job under sometimes extremely stressful and duressful circumstances. The amount of work they undertake despite their limited resources, extraordinary, and I will stand by this staff anytime, anywhere. A special note of appreciation goes to Janice Traverso, who has been graciously here for the past almost 30 years. Thank you, Janice. Doing nothing is the easiest road that this council and staff can take, but we are not here to do nothing. I believe this council and staff has shown that they have the resolve and commitment that continues to set a new tone for Ione, one that favors action over delay and progress over complacency. They are taking the necessary steps to establish a strong foundation for Ione to prosper and succeed now and in the future. As they continue to move forward, I believe that our city will experience a period of renaissance that will bring Ione to the forefront of Amador County, and Ione will take its rightful place as leaders as opposed to followers. As I said before, and I'll say it again, I believe in time that this will prove that this council will be remembered for being the most consequential and effective in the past 10 to 15 years. I look forward to working with the city council, our staff, and our community to implement this plan and to continue building a future of strength, stability, and pride in the city of Ione. Thank you. That's it.
I have a question for George. George,
Let's see.
George,
Yes.
I have a question. Could you tell us the importance of getting that property leased in order to where the hotel site is going to be built? Why do we want that property?
Absolutely. As I said in my narrative, the biggest thing that the city of Ione is lacking is sales tax revenue. We don't have any, okay? And as I said in my report, we sit next to last, okay, in terms of sales tax revenue. So if you look around Ione, you know, where can we develop commercial growth? Downtown is kind of limited, you know, where else? The only place that's been zoned commercially for the past 20 years is at the entrance of Castle Oaks. That particular site was zoned and planned for commercial development to support the towns. Over the years, it got degraded and, you know, got reduced in size. But the hotel that has long been awaiting, the reason why that's important, because that's going to generate sales tax as well as TOT tax, which is important. Okay, so again, the way that the letter of intent is structured now is that if we are able to consummate the purchase and purchase the land, we would then lease that land to the hotel, who in addition would pay us rent, in addition to getting sales tax and sales tax.
Be a revenue stream.
Correct.
Perpetuity.
In perpetuity, well, yeah, however long they have. But again, if you look at the city of Jackson, they have a lot of businesses, hotels, department, you know, grocery stores, you know, restaurants. If you look at Sutter Creek, they have a hotel, they have a lot of sources of revenue. Ione, we don't. And our biggest source of revenue right now is property tax. Well, that can't last forever. And, you know, you can't continually go back to the well in terms of, you can increase the CFDs, continue to increase them, but you can't squeeze them that hard because again, they pay their fair share. But over a period of time, if you do not increase your sales, you know, your sales tax revenues, at some point you're going to have to cut. Okay. And again, I think this community likes having their own police department. I think they like having their own fire department. But, you know, right now we're negotiating with the police union. Okay. So again, that's been a tough negotiation because again, I'd like to give them more of what they need, but I can't give them what we don't have.
One more question. This is the, in regards to the purchase of the property, the building for the police department. Having that large of an area, the city's going to save money, is it not?
Overall, I think the building next door was purchased originally for a police station, but I think, you know, because of certain things, it didn't work out. I don't think there was enough parking. And I think from what the study that we did, it would have cost too much to build or develop as a police building. That new building will provide plenty of parking for residents and the police cars and so forth. But also the city of Ione owns that asset, which is a big, you know, asset. The other thing that that police building will provide is it will provide an opportunity to bring some of the things that we pay the county to do in-house, such as the animal control. I don't know, last couple bills, if you remember, those were 19,000 and 9,000.
Every year.
No, every month.
Every month.
That was month. Okay. And right now we pay the Amador County Sheriff, I think $450,000 for their dispatch service. $450,000 a year. Now that is going to go up, obviously. So in the future, what that building does, it provides the police department an opportunity to develop their own dispatch should they, you know, see fit.
And save us a lot of money.
But again, to have an asset that we were able to purchase with a long-term interest rate of 2%, I don't think anybody can question that that's a good interest rate.
Thank you.
Good questions. Thank you. Okay, Andrea, now it's your turn.
All right, well, we're here tonight. If you look at your staff report, it's to receive a presentation on, which is going to be a PowerPoint presentation on the budget for fiscal year 26, 27 for review and consideration. And then conduct a public hearing and adopt resolution adopting the budget for the operating and capital. So I'll start with the budget presentation. Actually, we have it up on the screen. So basically, our first slide is basically the process and the timeline that we did. So basically, we started this in May, which ideally it would have started like in March and April, but due to audits and the timeline, we weren't able to get to it that quick. So, and during that time, we did the financial analysis on the 25, 26 expenses to make sure everything were in the right categories. They're correctly accounted for. We met with the department heads to find out their requests for 26, 27, and also created the personnel budgets. The second thing we did is on July 16th, we had a budget discussion with City Council. We did an budget overview and direction of how council wanted to see the budget. We also brought the revenue budget to actuals by fund, and that is that report that you guys have gotten for years out of Cassell, and it shows you the revenues to actuals by fund, not by department. That's going to come in later. And then also the revenue projections for 26, 27. Then on July 7th, we came back with a salary schedule for 25, 26 with proposed changes for the 26, 27 and got direction. We brought it back on July 21st. We had a revenue summary, updated revenue with actuals, updated projections for 26, 27, and we brought the the budgets, actuals, and projections by department. So those are all the pages that you see. That's each department and all their expenses. Then on July 28th, and I think maybe this is the first time it's happened, we went to Park and Recs and gave them the same presentation just so they would be in the loop and understand a little more how the budgeting process works and what funds are available. Then on August 4th, we came with an updated salary schedule based on the previous feedback, capital improvements, and a summary of all the department funds, which is that big giant sheet that gives you all the departments, how much they are, and what fund they're going to come out of. And then so tonight we're here at number 7 with the budget presentation and adoption by City Council, if they so choose. All right, so the topics. So we're going to look at the purpose of the budget, the fund overview, capital improvements, and the budget assumptions. So the purpose, I think everybody's pretty clear on this, serves as the financial plan for the city, reflects the goals and priorities of the councils, and input was provided by City Council, City Manager, department heads, committees, the public. I've had a couple meetings with citizens asking questions, making suggestions, and the staff. It establishes the funding levels for city services, and it is governed by state and local laws. So just to give I know I say this every time I get up here, and you guys might be tired of hearing it, but I wanted to give it just how our fund overview is formatted so it's easier for when people look at the budget. So basically, in government accounting, a fund is a separate self-balancing set of accounts that is created and maintained for specific purposes. And so the city's budget and accounting structure is segregated into various funds, and the format of those funds, your first 4 digits are going to be the fund. Your middle 2 digits will be the department, and the last 4 digits are the account number. So an example, if you see an account 111-60-661, the general fund is the first 4 digits. City council is the 60 is the middle, and the actual account number, in this case, office expense, is the last 4 digits. So that'll help you when you're looking at the budget to understand where it's coming from. The general fund, which is the 111 account, is the main operating fund for the city. This is the source that allows for use of funds to be used discretionary. It's not restricted. And the major revenue sources for that are sales tax, property tax, the franchise fees, and any unrestricted revenues we get from state, not very many. And I think it's on now. And any other unrestricted funds we receive. And then we have enterprise funds. And enterprise funds is basically, we charge a fee, and that fee is used to run that operation. And the city has, what's interesting about this, we have 3. We have the wastewater operating and maintenance, and then we have a capital fund for our wastewater, and then we have the tertiary plant. Now, you'll notice on those financial reports, like in the audit, when it comes to audits and everything, they combine all those into one account for reporting purposes, but we have 3 separate funds for those. And then we have special revenue funds, and special revenue funds are anything that's basically specified or restricted. And the city has several of these. We have Measure M for the fire. We have gas tax funds that come in, the CFDs that people have talked about several times tonight. And then I just want to make a clarification, because when people say CFD, they also throw the bond in there, and they're two separate items. You can have a bond on your house that you can pay off, and then you can have your community facilities district tax, which is separate than the Melrose bond. And then we have a COPS program, which is for police, impact fees that are paid by the developers when they come in, not by the individual homeowners. I guess you could say it's reflected in their home price, but the developers pay impact fees when they come in. They are restricted, and there's several impact fees they have. There's police, there's fire, parks, admin, general plan. There's quite a few different impact fees. And then we also have grants, and each grant is specific for what it was written for. And special revenue funds do not need to produce a balanced budget, but can retain a reserve amount that you build up and then you use. Measure M is a perfect example, or the park impact fees that have been sitting there. So technically your revenue coming in for that year isn't necessarily, you're going to have more spending out of it if you want to spend from that account. And then we have our capital improvements. A capital improvement project is just anything that's needed to maintain, replace, or improve upon any of a city asset. That could be park improvements, facility upgrades, streets resurfacing. Some of those funding sources could be from almost anywhere. Enterprise funds like the wastewater, we have a special, when you pay your sewer bill, part of it goes to a capital fund for that purpose. We have local grants, we have impact fees, and then we always have the general fund because it can be spent on anything. So the budget assumptions for this one, we have basically revenue, the property tax revenue was a growth assumed at 2%, which is what they've been doing for the past years, and we've come out really close every year on that. Sales tax revenue is based on the previous year trend. I wish I could say we'd have a lot of change there, but it's pretty much the same. It's hardly changed at all. And the current year revenues will support the current year expenditures in the general fund. Also, the expenses, we have our debt services based on the schedules that are currently at this time. Salaries and benefits are based on the current salary schedule that we brought back. But we do have an MOU that's in negotiation with the police. So right now, everybody's set at their step increase, but until that MOU is finalized, it may require, depending on what comes out, if something changes, it'll have to come back to council for a budget amendment because we don't know what those numbers are yet. And then PERS is based on our actuarial reports, which is basically what Larry Bain was addressing earlier in the audit report. And this next one is basically just revenue and expenses over time. And I want to mention that dip that you see. So the bottom one is expenses, the top one is revenue. And we had basically a dip in revenue for a couple reasons. One is the building slowed way down. Riverland finished theirs. Wildflower only had a few that they were building out. So building really started to drop like in 23, 24. And then also there was some adjusting audit journal entries that were just made for 2023, 24. And that's what caused that final little dip. And then you'll see it starts to rise for a couple of reasons. One was the interest that we received, also the grant that was received by AWA, it makes that look a little higher. So, but if you look at our expenses, they basically they went way up in 21, 22. I say way, not a whole lot, but, and then they've just kind of been flat, and actually we've been trying to trim, so they've gone down a little. But ideally, we could get that revenue up, because if you look at what we're doing now, if we keep going, eventually they're going to cross, which would not be a good thing. Okay, the next one we have is revenue by fund. So if any of you were at the budget meeting where I had that big giant document that was all the funds and all the funds that were coming out and all the departments, this is just a condensed version of each fund that is budgeted for this year and what it's expected to receive. The next one is just a pie chart of that same information. And you'll see the largest one is the general fund, then wastewater tertiary. We have ACTC in there. You'll notice that that's a new fund that we're adding this year based on our talks with Larry while we were doing the 23-24 audit. We have a grant from ACTC coming in for $665,000, and then the city's going to match $50,000. And it's requested that we do it as a new fund, and when the money This one, we won't get money up front. Sometimes you get money up front and it's deferred revenue. This one we'll have to do reimbursement, but they want to see it in a separate fund. So that'll be a new fund we're creating this year. The next one is expenses by department, and this is the same thing, all the departments and what each department's budget is. This is just a summary of that information. And then the next one is also the departments in a pie chart. So you'll notice our biggest one is police and then wastewater. And then public works, fire, citywide services, admin, and then it goes down to the little bitty ones, city council, city treasurer. And then this other one was just an interesting one I thought might help the public. This is showing basically revenue expenses for our major funds and showing we're basically receiving revenue and kind of spending, just trying to stay real close and keeping the revenue a little higher. You know, on Measure M, it goes a little higher because they had a fund balance. So we try to keep a fund balance in there for at least a year's worth of salaries, but anything other than that, we can try to use. So you'll notice that one's higher than the revenue because it had a fund balance. So our goal for the last 2 years, the 2 years, 2 budgets I've been involved in, is not going into fund balances until we get caught up with our audit in case something major drastically happens. And that's it I have for basically if you wanted to answer, or is there any questions I can answer? And then we'll get into the actual budget document. If there's, okay. I'll just ship it around.
What sort of funds?
Andrea, let's do council comments real quick, and then we'll go ahead and we'll open it up for you, sir. You'll have plenty of time to ask your question. Just any council comments real quick?
Yeah, so just on what you've done so far. You got the expenses by department, 11.9 million, and you've got revenue by fund, 10.7, that's a $1.2 million gap. So is that getting balanced by the funds from previous years? How is that $1.2 million getting reconciled?
So most of it is Park and Rec impact fees, which has a fund balance, and the Measure M fund balance, and the police impact fees for the capital improvements. You'll notice it's like a $2 million capital improvement. Most of it's coming out of those funds that have a fund balance.
Yeah, but there's a $1.2 million difference between the expenses and the revenues.
That's because the fund balances are not revenue. When you use money from Measure M or you use money for impact fees from parks or police, that's not revenue. That's money that's been sitting there for years that they're using.
All right, thanks.
Any other comments?
I think I've never seen a budget presented like this, Andrea. I think that's wonderful. It's comprehensive, the line items, everything's there. It's the charts, it's all there. I love it.
Councilman Mitchell.
I have nothing.
Vice Mayor?
I'm impressed, especially with all the audits you guys have been doing. I don't know how you're doing this, but good job.
I'm taking tomorrow off.
It's user friendly.
And that's the truth.
Okay, we'll open it up for public comment, certainly.
Joel Day Wildflower. Also want to compliment you on that presentation with illuminating. The ACTC fund was interesting. What are the possibilities for expenditures on that? Like what's it for that we can apply it in Ione?
So
Especially given that Caltrans owns
that's our
all the big
problem.
roads.
Yeah, so ACTC is called Amador County Transportation Commission. And when a developer comes in, they have to pay a certain fee to ACTC for regional transportation. Unfortunately for us, regional transportation, most of our roads are Caltrans, so those don't qualify. So the project that we have going this year, which Mrs. Mackey has worked with, which she's our grant coordinator, is they considered the junior high. So what you have to do is they receive the funds. They don't have to be spent where they were paid out of. So we put the majority of the money in, but you have to go to their board and get a project on the approved by their board. And for years, that was going to be the bypass. That was going to be for Ione. So it kept getting, we never got a project there because we were never going to be able to fund that giant project.
Basically.
Yes. Yeah, and so because they did the one in Cedar Creek, but then the prices went up and the board was like, there's no way we're going to be able to do that again anytime soon. So we want projects that are ready to go. we're going to only fund projects that we can get done. So we actually went up and started participating, because you have to participate to get on their, on their radar. And so they considered schools regional. So they're going to do Sacramento Street, Mill Street, and the schools into the junior high. So that's that project that'll show, it shows in the capital project in the budget. And then we have a $50,000 grant, that a match that we have to then add to the project.
Any other questions? No comment?
My comment, I'll just start off is the businesses I own are starting to hurt because like gasoline has gone up $2 a gallon. I'm just rounding numbers off. So sales tax is on $1, not on a gallon. So there's 15 more cents you guys have been getting for the last 6 months. Go to Ace Hardware, bag of fertilizer was $5-6. It's $27 now. So are the sales going down? Because she said, we figured about the same, but with 6 months more on gasoline sales, are the volumes of the stations going down and stuff? So are we losing business in this town? Because that sales tax right now should be going up. I mean, you go look at a piece of copper pipe, it was $5. Go try to buy a 1/2-inch copper pipe now, it's almost $30. So material has gone up through the roof. So way it sounds like is people are not shopping in this town, So I like to know what the heck's going on with the gasoline tax, because like I said, 15 cents adds on fast with the volume of gasoline you do. At 7.75, that's per dollar, not per gallon. So, they've been up to $6 here. That's quite a bit.
Okay, thank you.
I did just read the latest sales tax report yesterday, and it's not much of a, there's a little tiny bump, but not much of a bump, and because of the gas tax, but it's nothing substantial. It's not hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Not
Yeah.
100, but it should be going up instead of staying low.
But there's been some drops in others, so it's just kind of, it's barely up.
So it sounds like
Yeah.
people are not buying it.
Yeah, or they're just buying less, or they're, spending their money on gas and not on other things.
Andrea, the chart you provided us shows the approximately 6% is sales tax
Of the revenue?
of revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And our property tax and VLF, is that an in lieu fee?
Yeah.
It's like 43%. I'd like the sales tax to be like that.
Oh, that would be lovely.
Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Okay, public comment? Mr. Rhodes.
I would just like to think George Lee was asked about the hotel and buying the property and leasing it. That's a smart move. Otherwise, you're paying the property tax to go to the county. We get a little bit back from that. If you buy it, we don't pay property tax. The city don't. He can lease it and you get all the money back. It's kind of just like a golf course. You get taxed, we get the money on it. State county would keep 90% of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
So I guess to follow up with Larry, because I don't know that Linda got her question answered, is the people that own it now, why can't they put, that hotel's been approved, why can't they put the hotel up? I would ask you guys to do a little more research, because at least from what I see, the city that can't pay taxes, right? So if we buy that, the city can't pay taxes. Well, who's going to pay those taxes that were due on that property? Probably Castle Oaks, the last group that went in there. The taxes that are due on that, from what I understand, they're pretty significant. So when the city buys it, city can't pay taxes. The private people do. So my question to you guys would just be, watch it when we're talking about buying that property, because they've already had it approved. I have no problem.
David, I think you're getting off topic.
I'm following up on the question she asked that he talked about.
You're off topic. We're talking about the budget. Now you're going into a different line.
He's talking about.
It's not predicated. It's not predicated. We're talking about what we have in front of us right here.
Did we just not talk about that? He just presented that, Jody.
Bring revenue. Yes, we are talking about what she's delivering to us right now.
Buy the property there. He just brought it up. I'm following up on that, that if the city owns it, city can't pay taxes. So you're going to have citizens pay those taxes. There's a reason probably why that
Wouldn't the hotel owner pay the taxes?
I'm talking about for the property itself. When you have paid Melrose and
Why
those kind-
wouldn't the hotel owner pay those
the
property?
city can't pay it. So are the city going to charge it to the hotel? Just look at it. I'm just saying, look at it. There's a reason why they got that approved. We're buying it. City can't pay it. The private person.
We're getting so off topic and
You
getting,
just said.
I'm saying you're off topic. Any more public comment on this, on the budget?
We know if it's gonna be a Marriott or a Hilton.
What?
Just kidding.
I didn't hear what you said. It's all good to me.
So I'm almost done. So if you'll notice, the first half of the actual budget document is a lot of the budget message that George just gave. It starts out to Dear Council and it gives a lot of it. The first chart you see in there is basically revenues, very similar to what I just presented, and it has the percentage. Basically, the property tax is 33.35%. And so this is just basically gives a description of the taxes and then a pie chart of the same information. We have, one of the things that I mentioned several times this year is this interfund loan payback, and Larry also had mentioned it. And basically, what we've done, everything's been paid up through 25, 26 for the ones that have funds. And I'm suggesting we just stay that way till we're able to do the full research, which we haven't been able to get to determine what really happened and what we really need to do.
Haven't you had time?
Yeah. And when Larry asked for 2000 and 2001, I almost cried because, it's hard to find old stuff. So, that's the suggestion, was to keep with what was brought in 21, 22. We've already made the payments for 24 and 25, and we'll bring back a more in-depth research because we're going to have to actually prove each one. And what the interest rate should be and all the resolution. So it's a much bigger project. So we're suggesting stay as is until we get that research back to City Council. More of his budget. And then if you get to, it ends on page 11, and then in page 12, you have basically the resolution just approving the budget. And then it talks about the city profile and all the council members and the fund structure and the revenues. And then on page 16, you have basically the expenses by department, like we had talked about before, just the table and then the pie chart of the expenses by department. And then we have the capital improvement plan. And so this was something a couple years ago, you did an operating budget, but you never had a capital budget. So it's important you get both in the same budget. So this is the capital improvement projects we're looking at for this year. And you'll see the fund next to them. So if you look at fire, the 9675, that's a restricted fund, 9514. So most of these are coming out of a restricted fund that had a fund balance. Does that make sense, Dom or Mr. Atlan?
Yeah, what's the 9513?
9513 is the impact fees, police impact fees. Then we have a couple of charts that's basically our staffing and our salary. The salary schedule came before council for direction, and then the staffing is the number of employees we have. You'll notice we have a lot of volunteers in the fire department. And then we have quite a few pages on grants. And so grants was an interesting thing last year. It wasn't just looking for grants. We actually last year, most of the year was, besides looking for grants, was spent cleaning up grants. I don't know if people realize when you have a grant, there's a whole lot of backup that has to happen on the back end. And the city was behind in that. So we were, our grant coordinator was able to close out of a lot of grants and clean up a lot of items that had been, like we had some home grants, we had the ARPA funds. So this is an update of what's happening on the current grants and the ones we're looking for. And then you get into the budget detail, which is what you guys saw previously. There's been a few changes, not so much in the amounts, but in some of the allocations. I talked about Measure M earlier, and basically this is by department. So this is basically the same information that's on those pie charts. It's just the detail by each account, what is budgeted for each account within that department. So this is kind of the meat of the budget. And then we have basically the revenue listed also, what revenues expend by the funds. So the exciting thing is you guys usually get it every year, your budget in this format. But then when you get your updates, like the one that was brought to you, I believe in June, it's by fund. And we had a comment, made perfect sense, where one of the councilmen had said, well, we get this by fund, and if I have to figure out what the department spend, I have to go add it up across each fund to figure out what the department's spending. So this year, one of the big projects, why the budget took the amount of time it did, wasn't so much just the budget, but the actuals comment was all filled in with formulas that talk directly to Cassell. So now when you get your budget to actuals, it's going to be on this form because all we have to do is change the date and it'll automatically go to Cassell and update it. So you won't be getting your budget and then your report in two different formats. They'll all be in this format unless otherwise directed by council. So I'm quite excited about that one. And that's all I have.
Okay. Okay, let's see, we'd like to make a motion on this?
The one that Madam Finance, we talked about maybe an adjustment to the legal item because of an ongoing HR matter, if there was any adjustments to Fund 68.
I'm glad you reminded me. That was something you guys, I guess, earlier, we need to look at on your budget on the legal one.
Oh, yes, yes.
So for your legal, we had this discussion a couple meetings ago and we upped it to the 200,000. And one of the comments, which made perfect sense for HR, which is the 6212 account, is like, well, you never know what's going to happen with HR. You just take a guess. And if something comes up, so I guess you've already had something come up. So, if you needed to change that number, this would be the time to change it before you adopt the budget with that change. And my suggestion is the general fund currently has like 38 left over. I would only go an additional 20 to leave some money in that. I don't want to overspend on the general fund account. So it would bump that one up to 30.
I
You guys-
prefer something like that because I don't want to have to come back for a budget amendment on anything.
Yeah, so the direction of council, if you want to adopt the budget with a change or.
So anybody have any
I have
ideas?
some questions, so I guess because there's another change I'd like to see. First of all, I don't know what page it is. Sorry, Andrea.
Well, that's okay because they're not numbered.
Okay.
Who is
Yeah.
it?
So
Who-
it's Public Works.
Public Works.
So look down the bottom. You got capital outlay building, 715,000.
'Cause-
Capital outlay other than building, 237, right? And you got capital expense equipment for a total of $1 million and change, right? For Public Works. But when you go over to Public Works in the capital improvement funds, you only have 330,000. So why
Well, because. hold
wouldn't
on.
they match?
Well, one of them, because that 715, that's the ACTC one. That's going under the Public Works budget, even though the fund is coming out of the 2121. So hold on. Let me get to the capital.
So page 17 is the capital improvement.
Thank you.
It's the capital improvement page.
Let me get there. So Public Works and Park and Recreation, those are so the streets go under Public Works. So when you look at that 715 for Public Works, it's actually part of that street improvement transportation for the 965 on the capital improvement chart.
Okay, so it's in there. Is that
Yeah.
short answer?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's just confusing because it doesn't say that.
What I can do.
That's fine. It's just, that's great. I'm trying to make, reconcile everything.
Well, and that's a good
So-
point. What I was gonna say is I can do Public Works and just indent it for the next one, so streets is part of Public Works as it is in their department budget.
Whatever is easy for you.
I like that.
So that's one of my questions. Let's do the, I'm only gonna ask three. Here's a concern I got. In 2022, we had 26 staff, right? And and right now you got 37. That's an increase of 42%. That concerns me. Okay, that puts up everything. That puts up CalPERS, that puts up health, that puts up everything. We got to watch that. And the other thing that does concern me is that interfund. So here's a little very quick history lesson. So in 2011, we were $3 million interfund had borrowed. And the council at that time, in 2011, had a 10-year repayment plan of $300,000 a year. So it would have been paid off by 2021. All of the interfund would have been gone 2021. Around 2018, I think we kicked it around again. Things weren't getting paid off. I thought we had put in another plan, but for sure, in 2021, we put in a plan, and it was a 25-year payment plan. This is the 2021 budget. And it says, based on 25-year payment plan, requiring an annual expenditure of $103,000. So we said in 2021 that we were going to pay $103,000, and we have this conversation before. So now, and it happened before. So that plan in 2021 would have taken us out to 2046, right? 2021 plus 25. So we've already gone from 2021. Now we're out to 2046, right? But now you're suggesting, because these funds don't have money in it, that you're only going to pay 75. And if you do that, now we're up to 2.994. So if you divide 75,000 by $3 million, that's 39 years. So you add 39 years on. So now you're out to 2066. So we've gone from paying off our debt from 2021 to 2046 to 2066. And that concerns me. What we should do, and it doesn't matter if funds don't have any money in it, then another fund that does have money will pay an extra amount, because we have to at least pay the 105 so that we can get this thing paid off by 2046. That's my beef with that. The salary schedule, we have one of the highest salary schedules in the county. If you look at the other cities, it's high. There's no plan to address these unfunded accounts, that were $5.5 million that we owe. We're going to have to pay it one day. And I thought a couple of years ago, we decided to do some savings program, which we voted in, and that didn't happen. So I would like to see some money set aside to start paying these funds down. Or this is my other plan. We find a legal way to dissolve all these funds. Some of them can be dissolved. We could just say, well, they're never going to get paid, so we're just going to dissolve them. And some of them you can do that with, so you're going to have to talk to Larry Bain about that. So it's just ridiculous to keep pushing back this $3 million. 20 years, 20 more years, 20 more. I was hoping it'd be paid off while I was still alive. And
I was hoping it'd be paid off by the time I got here.
I'm not going to live to 2046 and sure not going to live to 2066.
And that would be all the direction of council. So the ones that don't have funds to pay, a couple of years ago, they did just act like they paid it.
Right.
So it raised one and gave one a negative, which you can't do. So like I said, there's a bigger issue of doing the research and coming up with a plan, and that would be all council direction. What we have of approved council direction is these payments for these funds. So if that was to change, we would need council to tell us that.
I would just like to see us pay 103 instead of the 75.
That would still have to come from council, because what we're saying in this approved one is we're going to pay this much to this one. So council would need to decide, where's that extra money going to go? So
I
don't think
it would be that.
so making the payments for anybody who has a fund up through 25, 26, and then we're starting the research because we're going to have to research it for 24, 25 audit. So one of the other things that we actually 50% accomplished this year is the developer deposits reconciliation. We used to, you'll notice there's some funds in there for revenue in that reimbursement account in the general fund. So normally what happens is they provide a deposit, we start having items come in, we let them know when the deposit and they need to start paying. Well, they stopped reconciling it quite a few years ago, so it's quite a big project to go back. But we are current with the two Ringer Ranch and Waterman of charging them for all their planning that comes in. So that's why you'll see in that revenue, that reimbursement fund is fairly large because it's mostly Waterman and Ringer paying for their planning to get their project. So there's no cost to the city. And the other thing we're getting ready is to do the billing for the DTA invoices. That's one of, you'll notice in the audit, it talks about a deficit in the account, and it's the DTA invoices from David Tosick and Associates that Shane Morgan works for, that we pay the invoice. Well, the city's entitled to get reimbursed for that because it's the CFD and they have never billed for it. So we went back to 2017 and we're getting ready to send that bill. So that's that couple $100,000 I had mentioned previously, but we actually have the bill in hand. So that's quite exciting.
Okay, I want to mention one thing to Mr. Johnson, that come to the next meeting on the open public comment, and please state what you want to state regarding the hotel. That's a good time and forum to do that. So, and then you can say, because we're far away from that. I'm everybody the same thing, but I'm letting you know, I would appreciate if you would bring your comments, but we're going to talk about the hotel in another public comment time, because we're ways away from this being consummated. So you're more than welcome to state your opinions and why you feel it should be. So, but tonight I don't feel like it was the time to do it. Kind of got away from me. So I want to say this because I'm not trying to pick on you. Okay, well, well, I'm letting you know that I'm saying that. Please bring it up next time. Okay. I'm done. I can argue with you. I'm just offering, just giving you an opportunity to say, hey, next time do it. Okay, we have any action up here on the front?
Well, I think,
Are we on comments or?
yeah. we're doing
So the one question we did have was legal of,
Well, we'll get to that if we do, once we get to the voting it in or not voting it in. For me, I like what you've got in front of us. I'm proud of your presentation. I'm proud of the budget. I know things can change. I know some people talk about looking at revenues and saying, hey, why aren't we? You got to realize we're guessing kind of on what that revenue is going to be. So we're conservative. I never like going and saying, okay, the prices have gone up, so revenue is going to go up, so we're going to spend more. That's a hell of a way to get in a problem. So I think we got to stay conservative on our revenues, continue focusing on economic development, and control our costs. But what I see in front of me is a large staff, city staff and department heads that's put a lot of time and effort in to control their costs, bring it down as best they can for the city to move us forward. And that's what we needed. It's a tight budget without a doubt, but it's doable. So that's where I'm at.
I'm good with it.
Councilman Member Smiley, any comments?
I'm all for it. I think George's presentation was wonderful and Andrea's work on the charts and it's just so self-explanatory. You look at it and you can see exactly what you need. I like it.
Yes, to me, it seemed very user-friendly. So if anybody would like to look at it, please. So that's my comments. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, everybody, staff. Okay.
You already did it? Then if we've done with public time, I'd move that we adopt resolution number 2026-31, approving the fiscal year 2026-2027 budget with an additional $20,000 in HR.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Aye. Okay, next we have reports of communications from our city attorney.
There was a public comment at the beginning of the meeting on a homeowner in a dispute with the city. I'll just say it's an ongoing code enforcement matter and the city disputes what was stated at the beginning of this meeting.
Okay. Reports and communications from our city manager.
Well, I think tonight's budget presentation, through the hard work of Andrea and her staff and all of the department heads, I would like to stress again, additional revenue would resolve a lot of issues that the city has. That is the number one priority that the staff has, is revenues. On an even basis, our sales revenue should be in the 40% range as our property tax. It's down in the, I don't know, and 10%, 20%?
6.
Yeah, sir. That's way too low. It should be closer to 30 to 40%. So you can see how far we're behind in terms of generating revenues. And again, I think the staff, I think there's some significant things going on right now, in addition to the hotel, in addition to some other things that I think if we can break through, I think it'll really help generate some revenues for the future. And I do want to thank this council for supporting the staff, because we can only do what we're supported by the staff, by the city council. Without the city council support, we can't do what we do. So I wanted to say on behalf of all the staff members, we do appreciate your support.
Okay, thank you. Council comments, committee reports, future agenda items. Councilman Atlan.
I would just like, when we get the police and the fire reports from here on out, can we get it by district? I'm just trying to see where the calls are going. Of course, I'm, looking at the future, but where are the calls going? So are they in the CFD areas, or are they on Main Street? So if it's not too difficult to, maybe break them down, I would like that if it's not too much trouble.
Okay.
Other than that, I have nothing.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Smiley. Any reports or communication, council comments or committee reports, future agenda items?
My comment is, I'm happy to be here.
Great. And we are happy you are here. And Councilmember Mitchell.
October 10th,
It's your birthday.
Oktoberfest. We've got beer steins, we've got German music, live music from the Capricious Accordion that travels around the country, which kind of sounds like a joke, but he's actually extremely talented. The funds will go back into your community, so take a look at that. That'll be coming up. So I'm excited about it. I might even invite you, Josh.
Free of charge.
Not free of charge. Congratulations, Linda. Very nice seeing you up here. And happy birthday, Andrea.
Just
last thing, just thank you to the staff again. You guys really, I know you've been through the ringer with a lot of stuff, and it's really busy, but we sure appreciate everything you guys do. And I hope you guys feel that. So,
Vice Mayor Rhodes.
I just have a fun one real quick. I got a call from the bank the other day, and they couldn't get a hold of the police, and they were going to call animal control because they had a possum in their front door and they were freaking out. So I knew it would cost about $1,000 to get the sheriffs down here and go through the whole county thing. So I herded a possum out of the bank and put it into the creek. So we need animal control here.
That's great. I just want to mention that we have a couple of things going on at the Howard Park this weekend, Saturday. There's 2 events. There's one in the early part of the day. We're supposed to, I believe, have like 30 vendors there, and then there's going to be some entertainment at the amphitheater in the evening. And I'd also like to ask Stacy briefly, not you briefly, so I'll make it brief, to mention what the honor that was bestowed upon the city with the flag.
Oh, yes. So Robin Ormsby, I think you heard, had went down. If you didn't know, she's been working on the KIA flag for many, many years.
Tell them what it is.
It's a killed in action, which her son was. And so we went down on the Senate floor with Senator Gill and got to, we have a resolution, and the city of Ione is the first one in the state of California, and it's federally recognized as a federal flag. And it's going to take a while to get through the proper channels, but it will be a flag just like POW and any other flag. And it will be flown on all government buildings and whoever else wants to do it. So anyhow, that was a huge, huge undertaking. And I was very proud of her and everyone behind it, the VFW. There's all kinds of agencies behind it that got it done, but it was kind of funny that it took an Australian woman and a Mexican senator to make that happen.
I think Stacy took us a whip pill today. Okay, so anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.